5,752 children were defiled in Ghana between 2010 and 2014, with 342 of the cases perpetrated by family members of the victims. Now, research has shown that cases of defilement and rape is continuously increasing in the central region, with 273 defilement cases recorded in 2016 as against 191 in 2015. Now, the figures we're told represents an increase of 42.9%, while rape cases also increased from 38 in 2015 to 56 in 2016. Today, we've been hit with news of a 4-year-old girl who has been defiled by an 18-year-old man and is being covered by a chief of the area who says the gods have declared the suspect innocent. What? Is this happening in Ghana? I mean, what happened to the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29? In any case, does the chief have any power to meddle in rape and defilement affairs? I thought it's a purely criminal matter and must be handled by the state. But what's actually accounting for the rise in rape and defilement cases? Well, on PM Express today, we will be exploring all the angles, including the legal and psychological assistance available for these poor victims, plus get the police and the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection to provide some responses to the matter. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Why don't we start with a story put together by my colleague Maxwell Agbagba, who, to set the tone for this discussion, he actually went to Asin Dadien Tem in the central region. Let's check what he has.
It is early morning here at the St. Francis Xavier Hospital at Asimfusu. Outside the compound, I've met Monica Nyakon. Monica is the mother of the 4-year-old girl who was defiled. Monica is trying to get her daughter to walk, but she's unable to do so as she cries, a little girl in pain. The girl is unable to stand. She looks very pale with the bandage from the intravenous therapy still on her left hand. Monica Nyakon tells me she had left home for a funeral in the community when the incident happened. She discovered what happened when she decided to bath her daughter.
I was bathing my daughter sometime around 7 p.m. Just when I was about to wash her private parts, she told me not to do it because she was feeling pains there. I asked her what happened, and she said one Kwabena had sex with her in a toilet facility. I asked her where her 8-year-old sister was before the incident happened. She told me Kwabena sent her sister to go and get him coconuts and further warned my daughter not to respond when her sister calls, otherwise he will kill her with a stick. He carried her on his shoulder after the act and dropped my daughter behind our house. My daughter bled for about 3 days. I can show you the diapers we were forced to buy for her, and it is full of blood. She couldn't pass urine, but by God's grace, she has been able to do that now.
I'm currently stepping out of the St. Francis Xavier Hospital. The 4-year-old girl was hospitalized in this facility where we are told that she bled for many days. Her mother, Monica Nyakon, tells me that when the case was reported to the chief of the community, he says they've taken the issue to a deity, but the deity says the boy who has been accused of raping 4-year-old Jessica is actually innocent.
One of the local chiefs in the community says they took the boy to the village deity, and the gods said the accused person did not commit the act.
I've now met Oscar Dazi. Oscar is a local journalist in Asimfusu. He tells me rape is very common in the municipality. He has been recounting some recent cases.
This incident is very rampant here. This year, beginning of this year till now, we visited a similar incident which occurred at a town called Asin, what they call it, Haiti, in which a teacher defied 3 years old girl, and it even came to Asnakon for the police station. And within a week time, same incidents occurred at Asin Latte, near Asin Kushia in Orunchimai Parliamentary, in which a 7-month-old baby girl, was defied by his own senior brother, who was 24 years. All the instances I'm giving occurred just this year. In this same year, Asin Aroso, which is also in Asin South, about 15-year-old girl was raped by his own stepfather in a bush in which they were going to tap a palm wine. When the incidents occur, most occasions some of the traditional leaders used to plan, sit down, try to settle it, in which some of them don't even come to the police station. Same incidents occurred at Asin, what they call Yankumase, Asin Mansu rather, in which 13-year-old girl who was selling ice cream. When that lady was sent to go and sell ice cream, 3 guys called that lady in a gang rape. They raped the lady till she collapsed. And they accidentally carry her, go and throw her in a bush. And accidentally, the girl lost her life. And before we had access to that information, her body was even in the process of decaying. A certain girl, she is about 16 years. And according to the eyewitness, that lady was going to dump refuse somewhere. So a certain guy who is about 35 years old called her inside her room, kidnapped her for 2 good days. And according to eyewitness, the girl was raped for that particular 3 days with no food. And when the guy realized that the situation was getting worse, he tried to kill the girl.
Well, if you thought you had seen all, wait until you hear from a 14-year-old who was also raped in the same area.
In the Valenda Mono, I die.
The net is saying,
he raped me on the veranda. It was painful and I was bleeding. I tried so hard to fight him off, but I failed. He even bit my lips when I tried to shout for help. I've been discharging and I find it difficult to move. He threatened to kill me if I told my mom.
I didn't know but about 1 more mammy.
My advice to young girls is that they should never follow or respond to a call from any man because wicked men are abound.
All right, so you heard it all. Now in the studio with me, my guest is Abigail Edem Honu. She's a program officer in charge of Girl Empowerment Project, and she's with Wilda. Abigail, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we'll also be joined via Skype by a human rights activist, Dennis Ama, and a clinical psychologist, Ako Hefron. And we'll also be joined by Victoria Nachu, who is from the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection, all in the bid to get a very heartwarming answers to some of these social devices we bore. Let me start with you, Victoria. And it's very sad if you look at the research, and we're told that it's rising. You've done a lot of research in this area. You've been following issues on, and I know you've visited about almost all the 10 regions in Ghana. What could be accounting for this increase in rape? But first, we're told Central region is where this issue is rising. It's on the rise consistently. What did you find in other regions?
The story is the same everywhere that you go, and then it's not just peculiar to Ghana. When you go to other jurisdictions too, it seems to be happening. You remember just this week there was a hashtag that was trending, Me Too, on social media. This is just to say that rape and defilement has been with us for a very long time, and I think the reason for which we have seen a lot more people coming out to complain or make complaints or report cases of defilement and rape is because now people are getting to know their rights. We are doing a lot of advocacy on the ground, teaching people about their rights. And because we keep on saying that if you don't know your right, how would you even get to know that those rights are being violated? So I think that is one of the reasons why we are having increasing rates of abuse or the reporting of abuse in the media.
Well, and I talked about what could be accounting for the rise in the kids, because for instance, I can't fathom how a 30-year-old, for instance, will be attracted to, say, a 4-year-old child. It just baffles everybody's mind why this would happen. But so what could be accounting for this kind of
Yes,
situation?
like I said, one is because people are getting to know their rights, so they are now reporting, unlike previously when they didn't know their right. Secondly, I think the laws that we have in Ghana are beautiful on paper. We are very quick to sign on to a lot of international treaties and conventions. But when it comes, and then even Ghana locally, we have beautiful laws. But when it comes to the implementations of those laws, then there is a gap. And then I also think that a lot more people are getting away with rape and defilement. It doesn't even go through the system. You go and report, because if you take the statistics into consideration, if you see the number of cases that are being reported on daily basis from the statistics of the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit, and the number of cases that end up in court and the number of convictions that are gotten, you realize that there's a huge gap. There is over 1,000 and something cases that are being reported, and then you get like 300 and something convictions. So the question is why? And then if you take the ones that went into the system and the police end up saying that, okay, this may be false alarm, they're just minimal. So I just think there are a lot of too many interferences. Could be from the family members, could be from the perpetrator themselves. It could be the case of the police not wanting to prosecute the case.
Well, very interesting there. Let's speak with Victoria Nachu, who is Acting Executive Secretary of the Human Trafficking and Domestic Violence Unit at the Gender Ministry. Victoria, you're welcome on PM Express.
Thank you very much.
Well, so are you aware, and has it come to your notice that there is an increase in child defilement and rape?
Very much, and thanks to, let me say, good evening to our viewers. Yes, we have. We have an idea of the fact that defilement cases are increasing. We work closely with the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit, and we have the data. Unfortunately, I don't have it home now, but we have data of defilement cases and rape cases increasing. Like the lady just said, maybe it's also because we are raising awareness. People are now reporting cases, but the fact still remains defilement cases are on the high side. And unfortunately, even though we encourage arrest we encourage reporting of such cases. The cases are reported, yes. Huge numbers are reported, but unfortunately, we have just little conviction.
So how does it come across to you that mostly we see interferences from family members, chiefs, opinion leaders who try to sort to arbitrate just to end the matter at the family or community level? Indeed, today we're told that an 18-year-old man is walking freely after defiling a 4-year-old girl because a chief in Asin Adadientem says the gods have declared the perpetrator innocent of the crime. How does this come across to you?
I'm just hearing this story, but the first question I asked was, why would the mother report the case to a chief? Because for defilement cases, it must go to the police. At least the police would have picked the gentleman up and then started an investigation process and go through the rest of the processes to have the case go to court, or the various medical forms given out for the lady, the small girl, to be examined and then evidence gathered. But I'm sure this girl would have they would have backed her, took her to the chief, and I wondered why the chief. That is my major concern. And number two, I really do not know how the environment looks like. Whether she didn't know she will have to report to the police first, for which reason she went to the chief's palace.
Well, Madam Nacho, I'll have you hold for a minute and also gauge the mood of Dennis Ama, who is a human rights activist. Dennis, you're welcome on PM Express. We know that the Criminal Offences Act, 1960, Act 29, prescribes some punishment. What are these punishments we're talking about?
With respect to rape, the minimum sentence is 5 years, and the maximum is 25 years. And with respect to defilement, it is 7 years minimum and 25 years. And you note something interesting there, that apart from the minimum level, the sentence is almost the same for rape and defilement. And the difference with the minimum level is just a difference of 2 years, which perhaps requires a second look, because the same offense committed against the child is much more grave and deserves more attention, particularly considering that children are vulnerable and are likely to attract such sexual attacks or defilement. Now, if you therefore want to provide greater protection for children who in some cases are even threatened, to prevent them from reporting the offense, then I believe the sentence for it must be much harsher than it is for rape.
We have been trying, all of us, to come to terms with news that an 18-year-old man is walking freely after defiling a 4-year-old girl because a chief in that area, Asin Adadientem, in the central region, says the gods of their area have declared the perpetrator to be innocent of the crime. What interventions are therefore available for the victim?
Well, you should ask yourself what our police service is doing about something like this, and if they indeed exist, the presence of the police in such a community, or of any governmental footprint in such a community, because things like this should not be happening at all if you have the appropriate law enforcement agencies in the country, because criminal justice is not left to chiefs. Now, the Courts Act and our Alternative Dispute Resolution Act provide some room for even alternative dispute resolution mechanisms to be applied to criminal cases. But there is a qualification there that you cannot have it for such offenses like rape, or defilement, which is a second-degree felony. And so a chief has no business settling an offense like that. And if that is the case, you should ask yourself, it is not as if the chief has gone to rescue him or the gods have gone to rescue the accused person from the custody of the police. So that is where the question should be directed, because that ought not to happen at all.
Well, that's what we seem to be seeing, because there seems to be so much interference with the law in dealing with rape and defilement issues. How can we reverse the trend?
Well, when we say interference, you should ask yourself, interference from who and
from
what kind
the
of
family,
interference?
from chiefs. Of course, a lot of the times you realize that even family members are the ones who perpetrate this act, and then the family head or family members will say, we don't want to tarnish the family name, let's solve it here and keep it right here. Sometimes in the community, opinion leaders in the community, and today a chief is coming in to say this. So you see that there is interference from all quarters to make sure that, I mean, that issue is settled probably at the community level.
I asked that question not because I'm unaware of such interferences, but that there is absolutely no place for that interference with a court of competent jurisdiction or the law enforcement agencies. Indeed, if everybody was allowed to go and call his chief or his family members to get him out of the pursuit of the criminal justice system, nobody would be in court for an offense, because nobody's family wants them to be in court being prosecuted. But you really don't have a choice, and you are not to be left with a choice when you have committed a criminal offense that your family members can interfere with the police, who are not subject to the orders of your family members or to your chief. We are not supposed to be having such interferences. It is because the appropriate law enforcement agencies have decided we would let this happen. And so they must be held responsible for it. It is not a natural societal thing to allow to happen, because if the police want to prosecute a person, nobody apart from the courts of competent jurisdiction can free the person. And so there is no room under our laws for such interferences with such criminal offenses. It is only because people have decided that we would let it happen and we would not enforce our powers. That is the only reason why things like this can happen.
And in this case, where the police is not doing their job, is there any way the victim can get justice? Probably nothing behind the police.
Well, there are ways the victim can get justice through the court process or through bodies like the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. And the question is whether the police actually should be left off the hook for something like this, and whether a victim, especially in this case, a child victim, should undergo such a crime without the interference of any supervisory body, because the police are under the executive. And so if we have elected a government, the government has the responsibility to ensure that when such things come to light, they act upon it. And we have a Ministry for Gender and Social Protection. These bodies are all supposed to ensure that vulnerable people who may not have the means or the capacity alone to enforce their rights have their rights enforced for them. And so it falls also to all of us in society, in civil society, in the media, and other bodies in society to ensure that when such things happen, we become the voice for people like that, to ensure that the law is enforced.
Right. Many thanks to you. Dennis Ama is a human rights activist. Many thanks for your time. And he's been explaining that there are a lot of ways that the victim can get justice. And of course, if they explore the court system, there is some justice they can get from there. Let me go back to you, Victoria Nachu, who is on the phone and from the Ministry of gender, children, and social protection. Some of these incidents usually leave long-lasting consequences on the victims, and this usually turns around to hurt the nation as a whole. Now, the question I ask, how does the ministry, for example, collaborate with the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit to ensure that perpetrators are not left off the hook? Of course, you heard the lawyer mention that.
Thank you very much. Yes, our work is a collaborative work. The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, and for that matter, the Domestic Violence Secretariat coordinates the activities of anti-violence issues. If you remember, we've done a lot of sensitization programs, all in a bid to create awareness and to talk about the dangers of violence against children, women, and others. We have done a lot of sensitization, and our expectation is that people will take it up, work on it. What we really will want to do in this particular case is the fact that I don't really know. This is news to me. I've not heard this case yet because I've moved from the Domestic Violence Secretariat, so my mind is on human trafficking. I'm wondering if this case has been reported to the police in the first place, because we collaborate so well with them. And if it has been reported and nothing has been done, then we as a ministry could take it up and then get back to the DOC2 unit to find out why nothing is happening.
All right, I'll have you hold Victoria one more time and come back to the studio, Abigail. Of course, police response to some of these issues certainly has not been encouraging. Today, for instance, we've been trying to get the DOFSU headquarters to speak to the issue. All efforts has proved futile. And of course, in your organization, for instance, WILDAF, I know you've been doing a lot of campaigns to get stakeholders to get on board to do what is required of them. What has been the challenge so far?
Before I even answer that question, like Victoria was asking, did the woman, the mother of the victim, did she go to the police station to at least make a complaint? Because I did realize that most of the times people are ignorant of where to go for redress. If she had gone to the police station and she wasn't granted audience, then we can take it up from that angle.
Other times,
but this is the case.
These people take cue from other people who go to the police station and they don't get any results. And so there's some kind of apathy. And they're like, even if I go, what will happen? Let me keep it to myself.
Yes, that is true in some cases. That sometimes, not all the times, the police are not very professional when it comes to receiving some of these cases. They ask you questions that make you feel like it is your fault. Are you sure the person is not your boyfriend? Maybe you slept with him and then he refused to give you money, and you are here saying that you've been raped.
There are other times that people go there, you go today, make a complaint, everything is fine, go and come back tomorrow. The next time you go there, nobody is giving you attention. And the issue or the allegation has been they've taken money from the perpetrator, or some goodies from the perpetrator, and so they are no longer interested in them.
It happened, I think that was last 2 years here, I think Testana police station, where it was alleged that he raped someone, and the person that was in charge took bribe from the perpetrator, obviously, and
the case died.
Yes, the case just died like that. It happens. Okay. Let's just be truthful to this.
So how do you hold all these stakeholders? How do you hold, especially the police, responsible?
We have done amazing job with the police. We've done training for the police when it comes to the domestic violence, the DV Act of 1998. We have done a lot of work training the police. We've gone even to the communities where we've had discussions with the traditional leaders, and religious leaders, that according to all the laws that we have, to the Children's Act, according to the ADR Act of Ghana, according to all the laws that you can think of, and that there are some criminal cases that no matter what happens, you cannot even like do ADR on that. You can't try to even settle those cases at home. Definitely. So cases like this nature of rape and defilement, when it comes, just don't even listen to the full story. Just tell the person,
refer them to the police station.
Just go to the police station. So I am very, very shocked sitting here hearing that a chief has said, a deity has said the person is not guilty.
And
by
so
what
the
means?
person should go
Did the deity use a phone number to call or what?
And of course, one school of thought will say that these people are empowered because the police is not actually doing what it's supposed to do. Because if a victim comes to DOFSU, for instance, and we've also had instances where we're told there are some communities who don't even have DOFSU units. And so it's the general police that handle such matters, and they lack,
not trained.
They lack the professionalism to handle that matter. And so it's a bit cumbersome how the whole process goes. And this actually discourage people to come out to report and all of that. And if they resort to their community leaders, this is the kind of things they get. And it comes back to the police. Are you doing your job well? We'll be listening to the Asin Fosu Divisional Commander very soon. But let me wrap up with Victoria, who's on the phone. So what's the ministry's plan in ensuring that the incident is reduced, if not completely eliminated in the country? Hello, Auntie Vic, if you're on the phone, you're still on PM Express, and I'm asking what the ministry's plan is to ensure that we reduce the incidents. If we won't even completely eliminate it, at least we should reduce it to a certain level.
Yes. Thank you very much. The ministry in previous times has rolled out a whole lot of sensitization programs. We've done a lot of community debates. We have had programs with men as change agents so that we'll get this attitudinal change so people can understand the issues, and hopefully, how I wish we could stop showing these pictures of this traumatized mother and the baby, so that we can talk about the issues. This is equally stigmatization, and I wish these pictures would stop showing.
Well noted, Auntie Vic.
So I'm saying we have done a lot of sensitizations. We will not stop the sensitization program. We will continue. We engage men as change agents. We even engage the journalists, talk show hosts, editors, so they could continue the sensitization process for us, because your voice will go far and wide. We've done all this. We'll continue talking about it. But one more thing is for parents. You know what? The best place to protect a child is the home. I heard a woman say she went for a funeral. The question is, who did she leave this poor girl to? It is about parents taking good care of their children. We are too easy to let our children hang around. You walk on the street and you see children the age 4, 5, walking all by themselves, no protection, nothing. So we should encourage parents themselves to take good care of these children, especially the girl child, because they are so vulnerable. We have pedophiles in the system. We have boys and men taking all sorts of aphrodisiacs, and after that, they want to experiment anywhere else. So it is up to us as parents. We are seeing difficulty in prosecution, in the police taking its rightful actions against perpetrators. What we can do as parents and as community is to be sensitized and also to take steps to protect our children.
Well, you made mention, and that's very interesting point, that you've been having a lot of sensitization programs just to create awareness and make sure that people understand what's going on so they can protect themselves from being victims of them. And it looks like we're still having more of the issues happening. Is it that our strategy is not working and we may want to consider changing that strategy?
Well, we'll have to look at the whole issue of the sensitization process once again. a new administration is in place, we intend rolling out a whole lot of sensitization and awareness raising programs differently. It's also about, you see, when you have incidents happening and perpetrator accountability is not stringent enough, sometimes people think they can walk away even after committing crime. So we'll still urge the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit to intensify its efforts, especially at the prosecution side, because sometimes the prosecution aspect and convictions is able to deter perpetrators from continuing the crime.
Mostly the blame is laid at the doorstep of the police. And of course, people understand why the police should be blamed extensively for some of these things. Because if you hear victims speak to you and they tell you how the police is not paying so much attention to some of these issues, then you will understand why the police should be blamed for increase of such incidents. How are you holding the police responsible to ensure that they do what is required of them?
I'm not sure we should put all the blame at the doorsteps of the police. I don't.
Certainly,
think so.
Not all the blame, but
no,
they carry most of the blame.
Preventing it from happening in the first place. We have families and homes where children have not been defiled or abused.
One of the arguments has been that if perpetrators commit such offenses and they are given strict punishment, it will deter others. But often we see the people left off the hook, and so others are encouraged to do so.
Yes, we should all encourage parents to report cases. We have sensitized people, and we'll continue that when something like a crime like this happens, defilement, first and foremost, don't ask for the child. Go straight with the blood and everything to the police station. Report the incident. You are given a medical form. Somebody must follow, one of the policemen or women must follow you to the hospital to have evidence taken before you come back and then you decide to take a shower or whatever. Unfortunately, most of the time, parents don't do this. They will shower the child, and like this particular incident, the person went to the chief rather than to the police. Whatever weakness we have in the police system is still better than going to the police. Now we are looking at a deity or a god. How do we handle such a case? So the best is to go to the police, and if you get to the police station and things are not happening, you can go a step further and report either to SHRI, to the Ministry of Gender, and we will take it up from there. But to go to a chief and then a deity, I don't know what else we can do about that. But still, for this particular case, we want to look at it and to take it a notch higher.
All right, many thanks to you. Victoria Nachu is from the ministry. She's actually the acting executive secretary of the Human Trafficking and Domestic Violence Unit at the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. Let's take a break on PM Express. We've been talking about police. We've been trying to get the headquarters, DOFSU, to speak to the issue. It's proved futile, but we have the Asinfosu Divisional Commander speaking on the matter. We'll be hearing from him after this break. Welcome back to PM Express. If you just joined us, we're discussing the issue of rape and defilement. We're told that the numbers are increasing, particularly in the central region. We've had numerous cases of rape and defilement in that region. And you'll be amazed, as low as 1 cedi and toffees are used to lure these children to get them to isolated places where the perpetrators commit the offense. Well, let's hear from the Asinfosu Divisional Commander who speaks on the matter.
The fault that is attributed to defilement is mostly given to the men. Most men decide to make good use of the children, but in fact it's no good. They use toffee, sobo, any petty 1 cedi, 2 cedis to deceive them and defile them. So what I would say is that parents should pay attention to their children. I will advise the children, if you are a girl, and a man should send you to go and buy him something, and he wants you to send the thing into his room or veranda, kindly drop the thing and go away, because those men are always waiting for opportunity to defile children. So if he sends you and you go and buy anything and you want to give him outside, he's sending you inside the room, move away from that man. Okay. And they should not accept any gift that are given by men they don't know. Even those you know, when they are giving you, you should know the intent for which they are giving to you. What I always tell parents is that if it happens, they should immediately report to the police. Most of the times, they will go and sit down. They will go and sit down, then arbitrate. But when the compensation fails to come, then they will now come to the police, and that will be a week or two. Nobody has the right in Ghana to settle the family case. Nobody. It is a first-degree felony, and the punishment, you know, ranges from 5 to 25 years in prison. So you don't have the right to settle any defilement case in the house. However, whoever you are, whether chief or elder, you have no right.
So that was the Asenfoso Divisional Commander speaking on that matter. Let's go straight on the phone lines, and I'll come back to you, Abigail, in a minute and speak with Akuhefron, who is a clinical psychologist. And I also have on the other phone line Nana Nsakwa, who is the chief of the Little Republic of Idumasa. All of them will be joining in this conversation. Now, I'll start with Akuhefron. Good evening to you, madam. What in the name of God will allow a 32-year-old man, for instance, to be attracted to, say, a 5-year-old child?
Hello?
Yes, Madam Akuhefron. You're on PM Express, and we're trying to play the devil's advocate and enter into the minds of people who perpetrate such acts and find out what could be the reason why they behave so.
At times, like one of your people said, they may have been on some drugs throughout the year, and they don't know where to let go of whatever they have in them, and therefore they will take advantage of a child to then exhibit those symptoms like rape, like murder and all kinds of things. But in this case, rape is the important thing we're talking about. And then also, there are times when they may not be normal people. Mentally, they may have a problem. And due to those problems, they end up raping children. So then they need some mental or psychological help in order to be able to ensure that they are doing the right thing and not just walking about doing all kinds of things.
Well, certainly such people need psychological help, because you can't understand why people in their right frame of mind will be doing such things. We're running out of time, but I'd love to continue this conversation. I know today will not be the end of this discussion. We'll keep on doing it, and we'll bring you to the studio to do more on the psychological effect. Thank you very much, Madam Akuhefron. She's a clinical psychologist. On the other phone line is the chief of the Little Republic of Idumasa, Nana Nsakwa. Nana, good evening and welcome. Good to have you on PM Express. When are you coming back?
Thursday, I'm there.
Nana, I am amazed at the news that a gentleman, 18-year, I can't say he's a gentleman, an 18-year-old man has raped, defiled a 4-year-old girl, and the deities are setting him free because they say he's innocent. I thought the chiefs were supposed to help the police to keep law and order. And if this is what we are getting, Nana, should we still trust the chiefs to help in nation building?
Well, Aisha, thank you very much. It's very unfortunate, very, very, very unfortunate. I don't know how in the world, any chief can actually come out and...
Now we're running out of time, so please keep it brief for us.
Well, Aisha, it's not right. This is not a matter to be held at any palace. It's a police case. It has to go to the police station. I don't think any chief has even, got the right to sit and pass judgment of it. They have to hand the matter over to the police, and that's the right.
All right, Nana Nsakwa makes the point right, and he hits it right on the nail. No chief has any right to sit on any rape or defilement case. We're running out of time. Very briefly, how do we handle this case? We've heard about parents taking care of their children. Police must do their job. No chief should interfere in criminal matters. What else should we do going forward?
I think we need to have conversations with the children themselves, like getting them to know about body autonomy, good touches, bad touches, teaching them about healthy relationships and all that. If they get to know and get to know how to say no, parents obviously need to teach their children how to say no to adults. For the mere fact that someone is an adult does not mean that you should respect every command or request from because the person is an adult. We need to have those conversations.
And we must also try to show children how to reject gifts from strangers.
Exactly.
All right, and that's it for PM Express. It's a very interesting topic. We would like to go on and on, but that's what time will allow us. My name is Aisha Ibrahim, and you've heard all the advice. Parents, take good care of your children. The police must up their game, and traditional leaders stay away from criminal matters. My name is Aisha Ibrahim once again. On Thursday, we'll be here doing it all over again. Have a great evening.